Tonight, we're at a crossroads, a moment that could define the direction of the nation for years to come. This is where presidential power, politics, and your wallet collide, creating ripple effects that touch every American household. Tariffs, essentially a tax on imported goods, have been used for centuries, sometimes to protect American industries, other times to raise government revenue, and always as a tool of economic strategy. But now, tariffs have become a weapon in global economic battles, wielded with new urgency and with real, tangible consequences for everyday Americans. When companies are forced to pay tariffs, those costs often get passed down to you, the consumer, meaning higher prices on everything from cars and smartphones to groceries and household essentials. Supporters argue that tariffs protect American jobs, keep factories running, and force fairer trade deals. Critics counter that they simply make life more expensive and can even threaten jobs in other sectors. This debate splits Washington. On one side, free traders push for open markets and lower prices for consumers, while economic nationalists want to shield American workers and industries from foreign competition, believing it's the only way to secure the nation's future. Today, the Supreme Court faces a pivotal question. Just how much power does the president have to impose tariffs, especially when invoking national security as the justification? The answer could reshape the balance of power in Washington, redefine the limits of presidential authority, and set the course for the future of American economic policy. The stage is set for a historic showdown, one that could impact not just policymakers, but every American family for generations to come. The Supreme Court case, American Importers Alliance versus United States, pitted major businesses against the president. These companies argued that Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act gave the president too much unchecked power to impose tariffs in the name of national security. They said unpredictable tariffs hurt their ability to plan, set prices, and keep jobs in America. The government countered, the president needs flexibility to protect national security, including a strong industrial base. Justices pressed both sides. Where's the line between real security threats and economic policy? Billions of dollars and millions of jobs hung in the balance as the nation watched. In a landmark moment, the Supreme Court delivered its highly anticipated verdict, sending ripples through the nation's legal and political landscape. The justices handed down a decisive 6-3 ruling, sharply reining in the scope of presidential power when it comes to imposing tariffs. The majority opinion made it clear. National security can no longer serve as a blanket justification for tariffs. Instead, there must be a direct, credible threat to the nation's defense. Mere economic competition or vague concerns are not enough. The court reaffirmed that Congress, not the president, holds the constitutional authority to regulate commerce. While some delegation is allowed, there are now firm limits to how much power can be handed over to the executive branch. The justices found that recent tariffs imposed on close allies and everyday consumer goods had crossed a line, infringing on Congress's core legislative duties and upsetting the balance of power. However, dissenting justices voiced strong concerns, warning that this decision could weaken the president's ability to act swiftly in the face of global threats. They argued that economic security and national security are deeply intertwined in today's world. The message from the court was unmistakable. The era of sweeping tariffs justified solely by national security claims is now at an end, ushering in a new era of accountability. Any future attempts to impose such tariffs will face tough legal scrutiny, with courts demanding clear evidence and justification. For American businesses, this ruling is a significant victory, promising more stability and predictability. For the White House, it stands as a public rebuke, and the shockwaves from this decision were felt immediately across Washington and beyond. The response was swift, especially from former President Trump. Within hours of the Supreme Court's announcement, Trump was already making his voice heard, determined to shape the narrative. On social media, he blasted the decision. Terrible for America. The Supreme Court just gave China a huge gift. His posts quickly went viral, sparking heated debates and trending hashtags across multiple platforms. He accused the justices, even those he appointed, of betraying American workers, saying they had turned their backs on the very people they were meant to protect. In a video, Trump declared, "They want to take away my best tool, they're trying to weaken our country's defenses. When countries were unfair, we put a tax on them. It worked. He argued that these tariffs had protected American jobs and industries from what he called unfair foreign competition. He framed the ruling as a simple fight: American strength versus foreign cheaters. According to Trump, this was about standing up for the nation's dignity and economic independence. Trump's message: this wasn't just a legal loss, but an attack on his America First agenda. He insisted that the decision threatened the core of his movement. He called the decision a disaster for U.S. sovereignty and jobs, vowing to keep fighting. Trump promised his supporters that he would never back down, no matter the obstacles. For his supporters, it became a rallying cry. The ruling galvanized his base, fueling new energy and determination at rallies and online. The political battle lines were redrawn instantly. Both sides began mobilizing, preparing for a fierce fight in the months ahead. Trump signaled this would be a central issue in the next election, making it clear that trade and American jobs would be at the heart of his campaign. The shockwaves rippled across the political landscape, setting the stage for a new chapter in America's ongoing debate over its future. To Trump, tariffs aren't just policy. They're the core of his America First philosophy. He believes foreign nations have exploited the U.S. for decades, costing jobs and factories. Tariffs, in his view, are the way to fight back and force better deals for American workers. Higher prices are, to him, a necessary sacrifice to restore U.S. manufacturing. The Supreme Court's ruling, he argues, sides with globalists over American workers. For Trump, this is just another battle, one he promises to keep fighting, using the decision to energize his base and pressure Congress for new powers. This decision has real consequences for you. With limits on presidential tariffs, sudden price hikes on imported goods are less likely, meaning more stable prices for cars, electronics, and groceries. Importers and retailers celebrate the predictability. They can plan and invest without fear of surprise tariffs. But for industries once protected by tariffs, like steel, the competition just got tougher. Some jobs may be safer, others more at risk, depending on where you work and what you buy. The ruling picks winners and losers, shifting the U.S. away from protectionism toward global trade. Lower prices may come at the cost of manufacturing jobs. The debate over how to balance global trade and local jobs is far from over. The impact is global. U.S. allies welcome the decision, hoping for more predictable trade and better relations. China may benefit, but core tensions over tech, trade, and security remain. The U.S.-China rivalry will continue, just on new terms. At home, expect fierce political battles as Trump and his allies push Congress to restore presidential tariff powers. Trade and executive authority will be defining issues in the next election. The Supreme Court's decision isn't the end. It's the start of a new chapter in America's economic story. The world is watching to see what comes next.